Have you ever faced a situation where everything seemed to be going wrong, where no matter how calm or polite you were, it felt like no one was listening? It's one of the most frustrating and isolating feelings, and sadly, it's something many people face every day. In today's video, we'll be exploring a story that highlights the themes of prejudice, justice, and human dignity. This is the story of Mark Decker, a quiet and respectful man who, after moving to a small town to live with his older brother, Bill, the town's police chief, finds himself at the center of an unexpected and unjust encounter. What starts as a simple visit to McDonald's quickly spirals into a nightmare when Mark is mistreated by the staff, ignored for an unreasonable amount of time, and even arrested by the police for simply asking for his meal or a refund. Little did he know, this would set off a chain of events that would not only change his life but bring into focus the importance of fairness and the fight for justice in the face of bias. Stick around as we uncover how Mark's story unfolds and how justice prevails, even when it seems impossible. Meet Mark Decker, a young man with a calm and unassuming nature. Mark isn't the type to seek out conflict. In fact, he tends to avoid trouble at all costs. He believes in living peacefully, respecting the law, and doing what's right. After recently moving to the small town of Asheville, Mark is starting fresh, hoping to find a new sense of belonging. But there's something special about his new home. His older brother, Bill, the new head of the town's police department, is not just a family member, but also a figure of authority in the community. Mark is hoping that living with Bill will provide some stability and a bit of guidance as he adjusts to this quiet town life. On this particular afternoon, Mark decides to step out and explore Asheville on his own. He wants to get a feel for the town, maybe find a few familiar spots, and just enjoy some alone time. After walking around for a while, he finds himself at the local McDonald's. It's a small branch, not too crowded, with a few teenagers hanging out and the usual chatter of customers waiting for their orders. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Mark simply wants a quick meal, just some fries and a milkshake. It's nothing more than a typical stop for someone who's looking for a bite to eat and a moment to relax. But little does he know, this seemingly harmless trip to McDonald's is about to take a sharp turn and spiral into something much bigger than he ever expected. It all started as a typical trip to McDonald's, but Mark quickly noticed something wasn't quite right. As he stood by the counter waiting for his order, he watched as the customers who had ordered after him were being served their food, fries, burgers, drinks, all handed to them without delay. But Mark's order was still nowhere in sight. Minutes passed, and then nearly 20 minutes went by. Yet his fries and milkshake remained nowhere to be found. He stood there, receipt in hand, watching the line move while he stood still. Feeling a bit frustrated but trying to remain patient, he finally approached the counter to inquire about the delay. He was met by Megan, a young cashier with a name tag that read her name. Mark politely asked if there was a delay with his order. But instead of receiving a simple answer, Megan barely looked up, her tone cold and dismissive. "It'll be ready when it's ready. Just wait," she said with an air of indifference, dismissing him as though his request didn't even matter. Mark was taken aback by her response, but he chose not to escalate the situation. "All right," he said simply, trying to keep his calm and stepping back to his spot. However, as time continued to pass and no food appeared, Mark's patience began to wear thin. When he saw others receiving their meals, he returned to the counter, this time requesting a refund if there was no food in sight. But this only seemed to ignite the tension. Megan shot him a sneer, clearly annoyed, and spat out, "You're being rude. If you want to act like that, maybe you should just leave." At this point, Mark felt humiliated but stayed composed. He just wanted what he had paid for. As he repeated his request calmly, the staff around him started to mock him, snickering and making rude comments as if his discomfort was some kind of joke. Things escalated quickly, One of the employees, a tall man with a scruffy beard, sneered at Mark and said, "Maybe you're not getting served because we don't like your attitude." Mark stood his ground, insisting once again that all he wanted was his food or a refund. But as the mocking continued, the situation took an even darker turn. Without warning, two police officers walked into the restaurant. One of them, Officer Jackson, had a look in his eye that made Mark uneasy. Megan immediately pointed at Mark, accusing him of causing a disturbance and demanding he leave. Mark, still calm, tried to explain the situation, but Officer Jackson wasn't interested in hearing him out. "You're disturbing the peace here, buddy," Officer Jackson said sharply. "Either you leave quietly, or you're coming with us." Mark, feeling bewildered but still trying to stay composed, tried to explain that he was simply asking for what he paid for, but his words were drowned out by Officer Jackson's dismissal. Without warning, Officer Jackson reached for his handcuffs. "All right, that's it. You're under arrest," he declared. Mark was stunned. He had come in for a simple meal, and now he was being led out of McDonald's in handcuffs, feeling a mix of anger, confusion, and humiliation. As he was escorted to the police car, all he could think was how quickly things had spiraled out of control and how unfair it all seemed. As Mark was led into the police station, still in handcuffs, he couldn't help but feel humiliated and confused. How had a simple visit to McDonald's turned into something so out of control? He had only asked for his food or a refund, yet here he was, detained and treated like a criminal. The sting of the officers' mocking glances and the embarrassment of being arrested in front of strangers made him feel small and powerless. Mark couldn't understand why he was being treated this way, especially when he had done nothing more than remain calm and respectful throughout the entire ordeal. Just then, Chief Bill Decker, his older brother and the head of the police department, walked into the station. The moment his eyes landed on Mark, he froze, his expression darkening. Bill's gaze flicked between Mark and the officers, sensing something was deeply wrong. He quickly stepped forward and demanded to know what was going on. Mark, feeling a wave of relief, took the opportunity to calmly explain what had happened. He recounted how he had waited patiently for his order, only to be ignored while others were served. He explained how he had politely asked for a refund when his order wasn't fulfilled, and how the situation escalated with mocking from the staff and an immediate arrest by Officer Jackson, despite his attempts to avoid conflict. Mark's voice was steady as he emphasized that he had only wanted what he had paid for, but no one had listened to him. Chief Bill Decker wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, especially when it came to a situation involving his own brother. As soon as he heard Mark's account, his expression hardened. This wasn't just about a delayed order or a simple misunderstanding. It was about fairness and proper procedure. Bill took immediate action, ordering an official investigation into the incident. He instructed Detective Randall to head to the McDonald's, gather statements from the employees who were working that day, and review the security footage to get to the bottom of what really happened. Bill wasn't about to let this go until the truth came to light. A few hours later, Detective Randall returned with the results, and it didn't take long for the facts to become clear. The footage from the restaurant's security cameras confirmed everything Mark had said. It showed him waiting patiently, never raising his voice, never acting in a way that would warrant being treated with disrespect. But the footage also revealed something much worse. The employees had deliberately ignored Mark, letting him stand there while everyone else was served. It was clear that they had mocked him and made fun of his attempts to resolve the situation, laughing at his discomfort. Mark's calm demeanor had been taken as an opportunity to ridicule him, not to help him. With this evidence in hand, Chief Decker's frustration grew. He turned to Officer Jackson, who had arrested Mark without ever taking the time to understand the situation. Bill's voice was cold as he confronted Jackson. "You arrested my brother without even hearing his side of the story?" he asked, disbelief and anger lacing his words. Jackson shifted uncomfortably, his face flushing red. I thought he was causing a scene, sir," he stammered, clearly flustered. Bill shook his head in disappointment. "You didn't assess the situation at all. You acted on assumptions, and that's not how we do things in this department." The tension in the room was palpable, as Chief Decker made it clear that such missteps would not be tolerated, especially when someone's dignity was at stake. As the investigation concluded, the consequences were swift. Officer Jackson faced disciplinary action for his failure to properly assess the situation, and Chief Decker made it clear that such behavior would not be tolerated in his department. The situation also caught the attention of McDonald's corporate headquarters, who, after hearing the full account, reached out directly to Mark. They issued a formal apology, acknowledging the mistreatment he had endured and promising to take swift action. Several employees involved in the incident were promptly dismissed, and McDonald's committed to implementing sensitivity training for all staff members to ensure this kind of discrimination would never happen again. For Mark, the outcome brought a mix of relief and lingering frustration. While he appreciated that justice had been served, the experience had left him with a heavy heart. It was a stark reminder of how easily things could go wrong, even when someone is simply trying to do the right thing. Yet he also recognized the importance of standing up for fairness and accountability, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it may be. He realized that sometimes the fight for justice wasn't just about winning. It was about showing others the value of standing up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you. Chief Bill Decker used this situation as an opportunity to reinforce the values of justice and fairness within his department. He made it clear to his officers that assumptions and biases have no place in policing, and that every individual deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their background. This wasn't just about holding one officer accountable. It was about setting a standard for the entire department. Bill's leadership wasn't just about enforcing the law. It was about ensuring that the law was applied fairly, without prejudice or bias. For Mark, the experience had been eye-opening. It made him reflect on something much deeper: the need to be seen as a person, not judged by the color of his skin. He hoped that his experience would serve as a reminder for others that no one should have to face discrimination, and that change was possible. His wish was for a world where people could look beyond appearances and see the humanity in one another. As he sat with his brother, the two of them shared a quiet moment of understanding. They knew that this fight for fairness, for justice, was far from over, but with their bond and shared determination, they were ready to face whatever came next, together. If you've ever felt like you've been misunderstood or treated unfairly, you're not alone. We all deserve respect, dignity, and fairness in every situation, no matter where we come from or how we look. Mark's story is a reminder that standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable, can lead to change. It shows us that we can't let bias and prejudice go unchecked, and that justice is something worth fighting for. I hope this story serves as a reminder that we are all human, and we all deserve to be treated with kindness and understanding. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Let's continue to spread the message of justice and fairness together.